Hey there, kiddos. What's up? We are live. For now, I'll stick on this screen, I guess. It's assuming that everyone that watches this can see those clearly. So I don't need to, I won't need to stick on this screen if we want to talk about any of the specifics of any of their underlying stats. Basically, we're looking to make a choice. We got to do it in the next, what was half hour, now 27 minutes, probably 26 minutes. And then that free pack will go away. And I already have Dahlin, the 90 overall Classic NHL Dahlin, and I also have the 91 Gretzky that is, in my opinion, much better than the 90, because the 90 Gretzky is basically just 90 across the board, except maybe not 90 in aggression, discipline, and fighting skill, and you don't really need those to be that high anyways. But other than that, definitely all the rest of his stats are 90, whereas the 91 is slightly boosted in some of the other ones and just plays better, in my opinion. So that leaves four other choices, and one of those is a goalie, Carter Hart, but I'm actually somewhat considering that as the play. The remaining three, all forwards, this is the winger, mini rant here. And then there's two centers that, despite okay faceoffs, I'll have to decide if I want to put them on as an actual center or toss them out on the wing. So let's see if they're. Yep. So there's. I'm looking to see. Here we go. Let's go down here, because then I can kind of go back and forth between the two. So it comes down to Ronick and Eisman. As you can see, if you were paying attention to the last screen, both these two cards, there's the one, there's the other, they're going to have one extra +1 to a synergy in case it matters or a person cares. Same thing goes for the Gretzky that I'm not going to pick because those three were part of the group of three out of the six. The true classic pixelated 94 NHL players that received that +1 after a slight win in the votes, about 53-47. And so what I did that is absolutely optimal, game theory optimal, taking advantage over every other player in the game on average, even though I don't really do much online or play competitively and stuff like that. I'll show in 1 second, but it's not something for everyone. If everyone would have done it, then the votes would have been really well. If every single person did what I did, there would have been no vote, because no one would have had it to make a vote. That would have been nothing, and nobody wins. And even if everyone stayed out, but one person voted, that's what we refer to in game theory as a dictator, whether they're actually voting by themselves or whether they're just a vote that happens to determine outcomes. In this case, if the only one who votes, it's technically both of those things, and they'd be a true dictator. And whichever one they would have voted for, they would have picked one of the six cards. And if it was an old player, then the old players would have got the extra synergy. If it was the younger players, they would have got the extra synergy. So it doesn't matter. Here's what the outcome was. It was about 53-47 again in that vote in favor of the old guys. So they each have an extra synergy. So if it's not going to be Rantanen, and we've already ruled out Dahlin and the Gretzky, then it's going to be either this, the Ronick, who is a center and shoots right-handed. His face-off, I just switch to the main screen. I just switch to the main screen, or I gotta get like some sort of binoculars glasses. Okay, so that is in fact an 8th, and I thought it was. So he's 86 on face-offs, which isn't that bad. I'll check to see what that would mean outside of any chance of actually making either the second or third line as my center. But off the top of my head, that means he's not going to be my second line center. And I'm pretty sure my third line is also really good at faceoffs, meaning 90 plus, more like 92 or at least 94 plus. So I don't think he'd be taking faceoffs, and so it would really come down to whether I want a right-handed shot on the wing, and you can get that here from this Ronick, or the same thing from Yzerman, who this one at 92 might actually be good enough to displace one of my centers. And then the synergy here actually does become important, because most likely, if not replacing his center, he'd be moving onto the fourth line. Either one, Yzerman or Roenick, they'd be moving onto the fourth line on the left, and Rantanen would be moving onto the fourth line on the right. And over there on the left on the fourth line, I'll show my whole team is, for at the moment, base Ovi, who has X Factor synergy, and that is activated for my team with the minimum 6 players that have that, meaning that if I take Ovi or really any of the other 5 players that have X Factor synergy off and replace them, I'd have to put somebody else in with that synergy to. For Yzerman specifically being a little bit slower, that X Factor is going to add +2 up to 90, and my whole team gets +3 on top of that. So he'd be effectively a 93 in speed, but still a little bit lacking in some of the other things. His accuracy is better than his shot power, even though it's not much of a drop off. Only -2 on the wrist shot power from accuracy, and -3 on the slap shot power from accuracy as well. And again, he's got 92 face-offs, which should be kind of okay, and pretty solid rest of the stats, just being kind of slightly above 90 in the 92s for almost all of it, awareness and handles and all that stuff, poise, which is kind of important to me now. And at 5'11", 185, playing smaller than Roenick and certainly smaller than Ovi, he does have 88 strength and 86 body checking, but luckily he's not going to get you into too many fights that you don't want to, with the 73 aggression, 88 discipline, and 68 fighting skill. And looks like an 86 or 88. I think it's 88 durability. Long term, speaking to his ability to not get injured, but with the short games, most of the time being what you're playing, it's going to more so come down to his ability to get up after being knocked down. More so on the offensive side, that balance being 91 is a big deal compared to if it was 81, but it also draws my attention to the endurance right below that at 85. That is definitely not end game, and so using this as a loaner for 14 days in some cases may convince me to try to add that player to my team, but 14 days from now I would almost invariably realize that no matter how he plays, even if it's fantastic, that if I did go out and get him, it would have to be a tradable version, which would be the only versions available at that time anyways, and then one that I would be looking to just look at in terms of the loss that I'd get for how much I'd pay at that time compared to how much I'd be able to still sell it for, X number of days, maybe weeks later, once that 85 endurance becomes too much of an issue to take care of. We're comparing that just for right now on the right-handed shots to Roenick. 6'1", 200 is a bit bigger. His body checking is 94 and his strength is 89, so he's going to get on the body a bit more. The poise at 86 is going to be a 6-point drop off from Yzerman. It's kind of just the clutch. The shooting is better on both shot powers, with wrist shot power only being +1, but the slap shot power gets +5. However, accuracy is the drop off here, and pretty steep at this level. 6 off on slap shot accuracy and 4 off on wrist shot accuracy. So one has a bit more power than the other, and one has a bit more accuracy than the other. So it's a nice little trade-off between those two. And then the general skate stats, Roenick is generally a little bit better than that. He's 91 for most of them. He's got, I want to keep making me show Gretzky, huh? He's got 90 on balance compared to Yzerman's 91. And then endurance, he's got a very slight lead with 86 versus 85. And so the rest of the stats kind of coming in, where they are. being slightly more offensive-minded despite being listed as a two-way forward, 95 on offensive awareness and 89 on defensive awareness. For me, it could end up coming down to the synergies. Workhorse is one that I like that makes my Guy Lafleur max speed when activated, and would, if activated here on Roenick, would actually make him also get +2 on top of the +3 for the rest of the team, turning that into a 96 on speed. Again, compared to Yzerman, that's going to be a bit of a drop-off from there. Although, again, one more time, Roenick with the face-off at 86 is unlikely to displace any of my centers in a true center position, and taking him on the fourth line on the right side in replace of Ovi means that we remove an X factor, and that for now is more important than any of the other synergies that Roenick does offer. So that doesn't look good for him, whereas the Stevie Y does have the X factor, helps out there, and is also giving 1 to 1T, which may or may not be important. But we're going to look with the face-off at 92 of whether that would matter. And the weird thing is, if we actually took Yzerman and put him into the third line center position, it may, but probably not, but it may make it so that we could actually replace the fourth line Ovi as well with a strong right-handed shot, and Roenick would potentially fit that mold for that. So one last look at kind of the other option, being Rantanen. Comparing everything to what I just said for everybody else, he doesn't have any additional player-based synergy boosts, with his player synergy being thread the needle, and it's not acted for me anyways. So he's actually going to be these are all base numbers, 94s with 96 agility. That 91 endurance long term is much better. And again, getting a +3 for everybody on my team moves him up to 97 for speed. Third best, in other words, that comes with the game, and pretty close to 90s across the board on shot. Slightly above that for handles. At 6'4", 211, you'd expect him to be on the body quite a bit. He's definitely going to do that on the offensive third. However, kind of more defensively, 87 strength, and it's not bad, but that coming with an 83 body checking just tells me, despite things that I've heard that already indicate this anyways, that he's this particular card is likely not to be sort of too aggressive on the defensive third, even when you're controlling him and trying to take somebody off the puck. The rest of the stats are fine. His faceoffs don't matter because he's a winger, and being a left-handed shot, we would compare this to who we've got on the fourth line on the left side, and I already know that that's the 88 master set icon, Mike Modano. So we have to kind of compare that. And even though in here I put only, what's going on there? There we go. I put only forwards to look at. Carter Hart would easily be the best that I'd have as far as an overall, because I don't have any master set icon goalies. And in fact, I'll show you my team as I said I would, but my 86 classic NHL Gibson is my highest overall at 86, and is on my bench, and just kind of adding 1 to synergy, and is one that's there in case I want to move him in replace of my starter. But this would be one where I could maybe take this, and being 6'2", 180, hybrid goalie, 87 5-hole, 75 aggression. That's low enough aggression for me. I think for me to maybe want to try to test this out. 90 rebound control, 90 shot recovery, decent speed and agility on top of 90s and 91s for both high and low on the glove and stick sides, assuming those things actually matter. And endurance is what it is. I'm not sure if that also impacts the player's ability to kind of last during a game, because it technically says that it's just how much that a player's energy recovers, either when off the ice or kind of between games, even though they start every game at full endurance in HUT games. But this is kind of the last option that we would take if we don't go with either two of the right-handed shots with Roenick or Yzerman, or if we don't go with Rantanen. So again, here's the team, and we've got a little more than 5 minutes left to do this, but I'll just rattle off real quick here just so you see. But that's the greatest front line you can have at the moment in Guy. Some guy that I'd never heard of before this year, that's never been a factor in any NHL series game before, but some guy named Wani Greets Kai. I don't know. He's probably some weird foreigner or something. And then Howie over there on the right side. Second line, Gartner, Messier, McDavid. Just showing here real quick again from a face-off only stat. Messier's at 94. However, he is at 81 endurance, but he is giving 2 to 1 T, and that is activated at the moment. So that would be an issue in pulling that. We got McD rounding out the right side there. Theo Nieuwendyk and Beep Beep, the road runner over there on the right. And even though it's an 85, if you compare Nieuwendyk, that's that face-off at 92, endurance down at 84, but you see he's not only giving 2 to SP, which at the moment doesn't matter as much. I will show my synergies super quick because I got to make this decision in the next like 3 minutes. But we don't need the SP at this exact moment, and pulling one off of X would really be kind of the factor there that we'd have to have someone else to replace that with. And I'm not looking to move anybody in place of Pekka on that fourth line center, mostly just because I need him in there to be able to take the key special teams face-offs. And if you're completely unfamiliar with the player, yeah, he's got good speed and nothing else, but the real key is that he's got a base face-off stat of 98, and it is extremely helpful. It doesn't hurt that it comes with 97 poise and 93 endurance and pretty decent speed as well. So really, we'd be looking at whether or not we'd fill one of these bottom winger spots. You see base OV's stats if you've never really paid attention to them. This is untradeable for me, so I'm not too concerned about quote-unquote exposing any weaknesses in the player. It is great that he's got 95 balance, but the rest means that he's kind of a little bit slow, kind of a little bit weak on the shot, and then generally also kind of at that mid to low level across the board and everything else. So I don't actually mind having a heavy right-handed shot take his place, but as you see, he's got that X Factor synergy activated. So if we take him out, we'd have to be replacing him with somebody else that is adding on X Factor. Whereas over on the left side, for now, we got Modano, also in that same sort of range, where it's kind of weaker on the speed, and endurance is not great either. He comes with a lot less lower balance than Ovi does. The shots are basically just as weak or weaker technically, and handles and everything else are really not up there that much better. It does have 2 to SP that later on could play a factor, but at the moment really doesn't, and that's why at this exact moment I'm thinking we go Rantanen. As much as I would like Yzerman or even Roenick, it'll be tough. The Yzerman would be a fine switch compared to Ovi, so we'll take a quick look at that because he does have 1+1 to X Factor amongst other things, so it'll be kind of a 1-for-1 switch. So I could maybe do that, because even honestly, even if I do that during the next 14 days, I said we've got the Dahlin already, just pointing that out, so we're not really looking for anything here on D. And as far as the goalies, Sean Burke has just kind of been the man for me, and he's given 1-to-1 T, and that is very key. And I didn't mean to rhyme that. He's got 66 aggression, and that's sort of the main thing. Gibson is 1 to SP, so if we pulled out Gibson and kept Burke, I don't think I'd take a 14-day loaner with Carter Hart and then not make him my starter. So I'd probably move Burke out, and now I have to find somebody else for 1T. It wouldn't be that hard to find a backup of any type that I wouldn't be looking to move into during the game as a replacement. And so I'd be basically removing both of my goalies if I picked up Carter Hart. I'd be placing him in his center, I could maybe move Burke to my backup, and I would just decide that if I couldn't find a better replacement with 1T. So at the moment, I'm thinking Rantanen. Let's look at our wrong way. Let's look at our timers here. 6 minutes to do this. So now NHL 20 GTO coming at you here. Here's one of the things that I did in the last 2 weeks that most of you did not do that gives me an advantage. I have not even touched, let alone opened, my Classic NHL Vote Pack and taken my 14-day loan master item, and therefore all of your loans should be ending in the next 5 minutes, and mine is just going to be starting. Now, I don't know when opening this if it's going to turn into the same timer as everyone else. We'll find out. That'll be a problem, but this is one way in which I'm looking to not necessarily open or pull things right away to give me an advantage over others, even though I don't tend to focus too much on the competitive aspects of the game. However, even something as simple as squad battles, I know that it's going to be that much easier for my team that is already mostly stacked to be able to put up some decent results there compared to everyone else who's not going to have this loaner. That timer is absolutely clicking down though, so I'm going to go ahead and open this now. Where's the reveal? So we already know all the players. It says 14 days left on there, so hopefully that is the case. One last check here on between Roenick and Yzerman. So again, with Roenick for Ovi, we can't do a 1-for-1 there without moving in an X Factor player. He is actually slightly worse on slap shot accuracy than Ovi, but slightly better on the power, and about the same on wrist shot accuracy, and slightly better on skate stats. And some of the other things as well, but it is what it is. And then Yzerman could be a 1-for-1 with the X Factor. We moved him onto the fourth line with the right side. Basically about the same acceleration and speed, maybe a slight dip lower in endurance, and definitely a little bit dip in balance as well. And his shot is just going to be higher in accuracy and slightly higher in power. So really not much of an advantage there. Again, this is Carter Hart's things. I'm saying things at this point because I have to look. I've got like 2 minutes to do this. The SP could make a difference if I made significant changes to the team. I wouldn't really mind having a 90 goalie on the squad and would likely be the starter. I'm just not sure if that's the choice to go with when you've got somebody like Rand in here who I could put in for the next 14 days in place of Modano. He's beaten them in speed and shot and also handles, and is probably going to be okay for the rest of the stuff. I was looking for someone to give me some guidance here. We're not really going with that here. We don't really get anybody come in. I haven't had anybody respond to the tweet asking for suggestions. That 91 endurance I think is kind of along with 89 being slightly less than I like, but 89 in poise I think is going to be the thing that's going to make me say we're going to choose Rantanen and maybe look for somebody other than Carter Hart to go with outside of this. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Rantanen. I know a lot of people did and were very disappointed in the choice, but you saw my team. Based on my team and what I've got, I think we got to go with this. And for all of you that have done this already, you know you can't click back in and get another one. So it just shows you that I did this just now, and you can also see, there's present day. That should be changing in the next couple minutes, and then we should also see some new unopened packs coming into the team. I'm going to go show you placing Rantanen onto my team. So in 2 minutes we'll get new dailies, and does it update weeklies today too? I forget. But you see I've got 3 milestones that I've completed that I haven't picked off yet. You'll also notice you can tell a little bit from the complete objectives one there, as well as the play squad battles games. And when they do counts, it's a little bit easier. And I haven't gotten up to 10 draft champion game wins yet, so you do not see it on that one. But let's look at the play squad battles games. So whatever and it can show specifically on the bottom. We picked up the the loner Ronick, who's 86 overall master icon, and not the same as the 88, or sorry, the 90 master set player classic NHL that we were looking to make a potential change on. It was a different card, different loaner. We got that after 5 squad battles games, so everyone got that basically once they played a little bit past the first round in whichever week they started in. But I've also picked up 750 coins there and 1,000 there for 25. And after getting, where are we at? After getting 50, I can now do the lone Forsberg, and I'm not that much further ahead in this one, so I'm going to look at objectives. I think that'll be a better example. But I'm looking to play 100 and get 2,000 coins, and I would, from here, I'd click X to collect the reward, and I'll continue doing that essentially all the way down. And then, playing 250 squad battles games, at least for me, is pretty far down the road. At that point, I may opt to go ahead and toss the Forsberg loaner onto the ones that are available. And at that point, it might be too far along, in which he would just not have the ability to earn a spot on the team. Despite coming as the, depending on how you look at it, your 3rd or 4th highest overall that the game started with. However, I could potentially bring these loaners onto the team, onto the squad, and then just add them to the team for a game or two and see how they play, especially with people like Marty St. Louis, who I don't have much of an idea as to how they play. I just know their stats, and him being again another player that I'd have on my team that kind of plays smaller in general. But as you see, like everyone else, after 10 objectives, you got the Choicer and the 85-86. I honestly couldn't tell you who I chose. That was so long ago. And then I got 500 coins for 2,000 for 150. This is not a good example. Hold on, what's going on here? Or is it? Yeah, okay. So after 100, I could have had the Marty St. Louis. I was waiting for the 150, and I didn't take that down. And then when I got to 150, I came in and pressed X to get the 2,000 coins. I know it's not much, it's at best 2 games worth of coin gameplay. But I went ahead and pulled those coins and kept the loaner up there. And generally, as I said, I would look to do that until maybe when I get to 300, I'll make a decision here to add the lone Jacques Plante. And I could potentially actually pull that one and still leave the Marty St. Louis available. The only reason why I think that I may not be doing a ton of that is just because earning squad battle points is going to be sort of tough enough for me to do, because you'll see from the rewards that I'm now going to be able to open up. Even though I think I'm not going to do this continuously, I think I'm going to start a new broadcast to show the rewards that should have just been sent over to my inbox. I'm not putting up a ton there. I'm just kind of holding down the middle of the pack, and not really playing much of any in terms of online seasons or competitive seasons. I played 2 games of online seasons, and I finished the very first competitive seasons. I didn't play any for this week at all. I had an issue with my PS Plus membership. It's been settled since then. And I think I went to go into one game, and it was just annoying, and I didn't feel like playing it anymore. So I don't think I even did the 3 required to do the minimum qualification for whatever competitive season that was. But either way, I don't really win those games. It's actually kind of a fluke almost that I was able to win the 2. So all the things that you get here, Shanahan coins, mini pack coins, great. And then, a loaner Paul Coffey, that is a player that I have tradable already, and a bunch more coins. Eventually loan Super Mario, which is maybe the one person I should look to add to my team, even though, as you saw, he could end up being my 4th line left winger. So it is what it is. At the end, you get an NHL players pack on top of all those coins and 8 icons collectibles. So this would be something that I would look to get completed if I could, but I'm not very good at it. I don't even score goals in those modes. I kind of wish that this was including squad battles games. It'd be a lot easier for me. But I've got a tradable Mike Gartner. I don't need to have the loaner there. The lone Brett Hull I would probably look to try out. Prime Pack would always be helpful. Again, now as of 2 days ago, I think 3 days ago, 2 days ago, don't need the lone Howie anymore. And at the end, you get an extra 20,000 coins and 4 icon collectibles. Not too bad. Luckily, shots on goal and make hits, they do count with squad battles. The issue here is certainly Marcel Dion would be worth trying, but then when I finally get to 7,500 coins, I've got a Guy Lafleur that I already have on the team. In a tradable format, though, so that could be a factor once I do eventually get to the 7,500 SOGs listing. In the end, you finish with 15,000 coins and 3 icon collectibles. Hits is kind of doing the same sort of deal for me, where I've already got an untradeable Messier, absolutely don't need that, and then 5,000 coins plus 1 icon collectible if you're able to get to those 5,000 hits. Completing sets, you end up with Larry Robinson. Hut challenges, I'm pretty close there. I think this is, I kind of forgot about this, to be honest, in the last hour when I was prepping for this and then getting it off. But knowing that I really only need to complete 13 more hut challenges and I can have a lone Patrick Waugh, even though that's either going to be, I think it's a 3-day or a 10-game. If it's a 3-day loan, to me, I think that's going to be something that's much more worthwhile of trying out than the 10-day Carter Hart. And then in the end, you get an extra 2,500 coins and just the 1 icon collectible. From the rewards packs, Potvin, just if I want to prove to myself whether or not I really want that card. Lidstrom, which I had as a choice when I opted to go with Morenz. I also had an untradeable Coffee that I could have chosen to replace my tradable version of his. And also Sawchuk was the 4th one. So I chose not to go with Lidstrom. I could see maybe trying out the loaner. In the end, 3,000 coins and a Master Icon choice untradeable 96 overall. And that reminds me, yeah, this is going to be forever. You get all 250 in like April. So even 50 shy of that's going to be potentially March, late February, I guess, if you're lucky. At that point, I'm not really sure how much even, loan or not, an 89 Lidstrom is going to make an impact for me. So I wasn't thinking about that when I was talking about what specific group this is. Draft champion games are a little bit different because I can honestly knock these out right now. I mean, even if each one took a full hour, as you see, I've got 7 and the final is 30. I could do this in the next day for sure, even if they were a full hour to do, one game and then you quit the next one and take the reward, and that would also be 46 untradeable silver players that I'd be adding that I could then just toss into the re-rolls, and for every 8, which is, pardon me, it'd be just shy of 6 of those sets that could be done, giving you 2 gold players each time. So that's another 12 gold players that could be added to the team, again in an untradeable format, just simply from having done this set. But as far as players go, in the end, it gives you Conacher, and for right now, I could pull down the Hextall. So as I said, that I may go ahead and take the Patrick Waugh as a goalie. I'm not really sure how interested I would be in the 85 Ron Hextall at the moment. So this was intended to be 2 ways in which I took an advantage, competitive advantage over everyone else in the game by not pulling some of these loans players, and also not taking the loan pack right away and doing it now instead. But there's got to be an example in here somewhere other than, I showed the Roenick before, right? So the Matt Sundin is another one. If they're players that have, if they're games played, 10 games played loaners, some of those still have some games left on them. If they were at max 3-day loaners, those are all expired now at this point. So I had a bunch of them that I was earning at that time, and they were also helping my team when it wasn't super boosted. So now both of those things are different. The team is super boosted. I'm not pulling a bunch of these at the same time. and almost all of them really wouldn't have a natural position on my team, and so just adding them to the squad in general, maybe trying them out in a game or two, particularly one that wouldn't be as important of one to play in, maybe a challenge to start with or something like that. I could see doing that, but as I said, for now I'm trying to hold off on opening those to see how much further along in the milestones I can get, without getting kind of too far along and having the team be too much super boosted where it's sort of absurd to add in a specific player like an 85 overall, not necessarily the Hextall being a goalie and that actually being a higher overall than my starting goaltender right now. But in every other position, 85s would be generally less than most anybody else that I'd have on there. And when you have the exceptions to that, like the fourth line center Pekka, who is an 82 overall, I believe, it'd be unlikely to have even a loner, knowing what the master set icon players are like. That would be a better fit as a fourth line center with you can't the only way you can have better face-off base stat would be if it's a 99. So it'd have to have essentially that as well as being better across the board for me to even put a loner into that spot. And there aren't any other kind of lower end overalls on the team outside of the Patrice Brisebois, and I didn't show him, but he's mostly in there because his skate stats are off the chart, and with the boost and everything else, he becomes a 99 in speed, and is pretty decent on the other stats as well. And a right-handed shot, having him over on the left side is something that's helpful for now. If I had 6 tremendous options, including 3 right-handed and 3 left-handed on defense, I know off the top of my head I definitely have that with lefties. With righties, it's close. But for now, he makes sense to keep his spot on the team. So I'm going to go ahead and actually kill this broadcast and then start another one right away. Although, yeah, okay. So clicking out didn't automatically put me. Where are our packs? I'm also holding on to that because I don't need it. I had enough to get the 80 the 80 Yager. Where are our... Somebody just came in the room. Huh. Untradeable fantasy hockey starter pack, including a guaranteed fantasy hockey prospect player item and gold's collectible untradeable. Fantasy hockey ultra pack, 25 items, including at least 10 player items with at least 6 gold players. But that gold is 74 plus apparently. 73% for 80 plus, 3.6 for 85 plus 2% on the collectibles, slightly better than they were, I guess. So they were saying less than 1%, which is what it says for master items. I was going to say I have the coins for them. Unfortunately, I don't have the coins for them. I guess I ripped through a bunch of coins. So I don't have anything to open those with if I even wanted to. This one's untradeable. So you get a gold collectible. Apparently looks like gold collectibles are now going to go up in price. This wasn't what I was planning on showing in this video, but let's see. Let's kill the music here so I can focus. Wait, what? No. Oh my god. So this is what everyone was talking about that was going to be crazy today. Oh, that sucks. And hopefully most of them are starting down there 72s, like Taylor Hall. But even so, man, 1 overall for every goal scored. Hold on, so let's see. That's if they're all 72, then that's 27 to max at 99. So I guess that's I guess it's actually that's kind of reasonable. With 30 goals scored in a game in a year, sort of being the standard benchmark for what would be considered a solid player. In some cases, some people would say an above average player, or a win as a goalie. 30 wins in a year. I don't know. Seems like you should be able to get that taken care of. Synergy points double if player reaches 95 overall. So it looks like there's going to be no changes to their synergy and no boosts to them until they get to 95. I already said maximum upgrade level is 98, and only regular season games count. This is NHL, SHL, and Liga, apparently being the 3 leagues that they're doing this on. Let's see if they've got examples. So here are some. It says go to store. So I'm guessing you can pull these in packs. Oh crap! Some of these start as 83s, 82s. Oh jeez. All right, so granted, Letang and Seth Jones are both defenders. Ryan Johansson is not, or Johansson is not. He's a center. But yeah, so 82. That's a big difference from 72. So instead of needing 27, they only need 17 goals. I'd have to look real quick at Letang and Seth Jones' stats for last year if they were able to put up 17 goals. I don't know. And then maybe Johansson's not scoring a bunch either. I'm not sure. They might add other, definitely probably a good idea that the Taylor Hall is as low as a 72. Nobody on there is really standing out for me as super obvious. Jimmy Howard, Detroit has a chance of not even winning 30 games as a team. So with him in net, I'm not sure if he'd win the 30, but he wouldn't. He would only need 24 to get up to 99. I'm guessing these are things you get in packs though. Let's see if they show more. They do show more. Okay. Huh. So that's 16. I think the Joki Aru that sorry I'm very thrown off by this here, but Henry I think should have a pretty good shot at putting up 16 goals for his new team, the Sabres. There's enough other young guns over there that he'd be able to have some shots taken during the year. Part of the other changes to the Hawks with Alexander Nylander, I'm not sure I'm convinced on how quick and easy it'd be for him to toss 20 up there. For some reason, maybe just it's weird. Like being on Detroit for Zadina seems like a disadvantage to sort of any player. However, it can be one of those things where if the offense is sort of not coming from others, and he's putting it up, he might either start just putting them up on his own, or the team might realize that they got to feed him a bit. So on a very likely to be underperforming team that is also very likely to not have a ton of players that are even putting up sort of good to great stats on their own while the team is underperforming. Seems like he might be a decent shot to be able to do that. Eventually. I don't think that card becomes a 99. Before the new year. We'll say that. Anybody else? Okay, so just kind of using the example of how to do it in sets. Use them found in packs. They're going to be the same collectibles that we already had. I probably should have held on to some. I'm sure they'll do gold player trade-ins for them also. To complete the fantasy hockey player item in master sets, they'll go over to sets in a second, I guess. Acquire fantasy hockey collectibles from daily challenges and trade them in for a gold collectible. So I'll check it. I'll check challenges as well. I'm probably only going to show one for the day because that's how the kind of the dailies work. Whether there's going to be another one tomorrow or not, it'll likely just show just the one, and it'll probably also show a new Hut Challenges overall fantasy hockey thing, in which I don't know. You might be able to get a gold collectible. You might be able to get some nice packs or something like that. We'll see all that in a second, I guess. Tons of new content, I guess. This stuff was this already here? I don't know, but I'm not a fan of kind of any of those. I don't think that was there though, because I think I would have noticed an 84 Manta. This was, well, there were 6 regular icons. Yeah, this was here. On now. Oh, so first Hut Champs, and that's the reward, I guess. What are they calling it? So it's just the Hut Champs card. TJ Oshie, an 88 overall. Pretty close to max skate, and finally bringing his shot up to being respectable. And top 100, I would assume. I'm going to get that. Ain't going to be me. This was already here. Team of the week for this week, as well as the sort of second set of Global Series cards. Nope, this is the first set because it's got James Shepard in it. I don't know why I was thinking that. Anyway, so a little surprised by all this, and I don't know. Do I have to go? I guess I'll try this while I'm on stream. I wasn't planning on doing this. Show them we're 20 minutes past the server reset, so they should be here. Fantasy hockey is now in Hut. Kind of always was, guys, but still, it's fun. Thanks. New edition. Not the group. Yeah. I'm just wondering, because of all the new stuff and all other stuff being pushed off, the fact that I was in Hut. No, still the same. What's going on, yo? In my packs. What are you doing? Oh, I have to go processing. What? I haven't played in any yet. Okay. I was thinking that I had to come into here and like click the thing to get my stuff. We've only had like one week of doing that so far, so I kind of forget. Anyways, I guess going a totally different route here today. Yeah, so full 10 plus 1 extra on the daily challenge. What's the wrong one? They did it backwards today. So weekday challenges, I guess, for a fantasy hockey collectible. I'll go into sets, and we'll go sets first before showing the challenge. It makes more sense to do it this way. So it'll likely be kind of turning in all of those to be able to do the to get 1 gold collectible. Yeah, so I didn't check the exact timer, but if whether it's 10 days or 2 weeks, there'll probably be 10 different challenges. They're saying they're weekday challenges, which means there won't be another new one until Monday anyways. Yeah, you look to turn in 10 of those fantasy hockey collectibles to get 1 untradeable gold collectible. And you can trade in that gold collectible. If that's all you get, you can trade in that gold collectible for a 1 of 2 choicer of fantasy hockey prospect items, untradeable. Otherwise, if you've got 18 of them, you can get the Kovalchuk Master, which I'll go back out in a second, but I'm pretty sure that was an 80 something to start off with. also untradeable, and works the same way as the other ones with the adding 1 to his overall for every goal scored. And they don't say this specifically on here, so, or explicitly, however you'd like me to say that. But I just kind of automatically assume, based on how most other things are working so far this year, is that when they get a +1 boost in their overall, it will come in the form of a +1 boost in all the underlying stats also, and it's just going to be sort of a linear progression on all of their stats, not just the overall, from whatever they start at. If it's as low as 72 with Taylor Hall, or if it's as high as, what do we see, 83 with Seth Jones, right? So whichever one of those it was, when the 83 becomes an 84, when the 72 becomes a 73, every single underlying stat as well gets that +1 boost. Even though some of the underlying stats are not actually stat categories, they're more like attributes, traits, or tendencies, particularly aggression, discipline, and fighting skill for position players. And for goalies, I also wouldn't really want to have the aggression sort of attributes to be getting boosted too high, while the overalls and the other stats were getting up. If I did have a goalie, again, I'm not really looking to go out of my way to get the Jimmy Howard, but yeah, that'd be my only, not necessarily concern, but one of the things that I would kind of point out is whether people care about that sort of stuff or not. There are some things that are not actually stat categories that will be getting a linear progression all the way up to 99 on the overalls. So it is what it is. You can do get a 1 of 3 choicer for turning in 16 of them. These, just anybody watching this, don't do this one at all. If you have 6 untradeable gold collectibles and you feel like wasting them, go ahead. If you have 7, that's what I'm going to tell you. If you got 7 untradeable gold collectibles and you feel like wasting them all while this event is still going on for what says it's going to be the next week, these are going to have to get increased, because we're not going to get to 10 fantasy hockey collectibles in the next week. Let's just see on the outer one. Does it give a longer time? Yeah, so it's 2 weeks. So this is really 2 weeks, and you'll probably be able to do any of these 3 next week also. The only thing I could see maybe switching is that instead of Kovalchuk, there'll be somebody else in this slot, and these will be either exactly the same or maybe slightly changed for the following week, and we'll have a week-long timeline expiration on those as well. But let's say you've got exactly 7 untradeable gold collectibles. You feel like wasting them, even though this particular event and set proves that the gold collectibles that you might have been pulling up from the last event, a NHL Classics event, the exact same collectibles are good here if you still had those, or if you've got them, and it stands to reason that you'll be using else in the future. So first off, as I said, if this is a week from now, coming up towards the server reset next Friday, and you got 7 of them, and you'd really like to be able to at least do this, or have an extra 2 and be able to guarantee your Kovalchuk. But you see the timer going down, you think it's going away. Again, I don't think that's actually going to be the case. I already said what I think could happen. So if you're super keen on Kovalchuk specifically, as opposed to any other player who's got the same overall and is going to improve the exact same way, I think that is highly likely to be the replacement, if there is one at all. It's also very likely that these 3 exact sets working in this exact way will pop up again with an additional week-long expiration 1 week from now, because you've got to get this set completely done, which won't be done in 7 days from now, and the overall sets for this event are listed as 14 days. When I click back out to the challenges, they're probably going to be listed as 14 days also. So if you had exactly 7 in the next week and you wanted to waste them, I'd say first do this one, lock down that you're going to get some form of a fantasy hockey prospect item. Choice one or two. They could, again, like worst case scenario is you get somebody kind of lower down on the overalls, like 72 to 75, 76, and also very unlikely to score goals. That's kind of worst case scenario, but you're getting that no matter what, and you're gonna have two to choose from. And if you're doing it a week from now, you're a week into knowing of like whether or not like Taylor Hall in the season last year, was completely gone from injury and wasn't going to be able to play, or for instance, maybe a certain player had jiggled a car handle and then shown shown his butt side of his underwear by depantsing himself, and then doesn't get a chance to play either, at all or a full season or whatever. Those kind of things could have an impact, and they might be different a week from now than they are now. So I would say, again, if you got 7, at least do this one and then waste your 6 on this, and it's 33% chance of a random fantasy hockey player item, and there's suggestion is at least a 67. It definitely, for a lot of us, feels like more like 99 or 100% chance that you're just going to get like 76 or lower overall base card. So I don't recommend doing that one. If you really want to, go ahead. And as always, you can trade in. Why does it say trade in player items? I mean, these should be gold players explicitly, right? Yeah. Okay. So every 50, we don't know what the cooldown is on those at the moment. It is repeatable, but you can do those for gold collectibles. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that immediately in the first half hour, the prices for gold collectibles have gone up. People might have bought the really cheap ones that were out there. This one's got bid up to 38, and that one started at 35 and it's still at 35. So there are probably a bunch of ones that were relatively cheap, although I kind of feel like 30 is relatively cheap. There just wasn't a buy now on that. Probably any buy nows that went as low as 30 to 35 were snatched up immediately by people with coins, especially if they knew that this event was coming, even though in my opinion they should have just bought them before the event even came off, so that they weren't giving others the chance to get theirs. So these prices have all gone up quite a bit since the last time I looked at it, because they had dropped all the way down to about 30 per. There's only 66 currently being sold on the market. So being able to buy your collectibles, all of them at least, doesn't seem like that's going to be very easy to do, or in my opinion, probably even really worth it. Let's see, where's the screen for that? Yeah, so the Kovalchuk is apparently an 80 overall. I guess we'll check to see if anybody was it untradeable in the sets? Feels like that would make sense, but I don't remember. I don't remember if I read that explicitly. Yes. Okay, so it's untradeable. So I was gonna look to see if anybody's got it on the market right now. They don't. Again, set shows 14 days. The challenges also 14 days. The 10 that's up on top there that I haven't shown yet are likely going to stay there the whole time. Then down here it says weekday challenges. So I would just assume that over the next 14 days, if they did every single weekday, you'd have more than 10 of those that will pop off. Obviously minus the next 2 days, which would bring us down to 12 at that point. Take 5 off. Looking at 7 minus 2, take another 5 off. So that would actually be 11 total that they do. That would maybe make sense. We ended up technically doing 11 for the Yager. So maybe that's what they'll do. Is every single weekday there'll be a new one of these. Today's is a 1 minute rookie period, win 5 faceoffs. Get your fantasy hockey collectible untradeable. This isn't. Don't take this anybody as a criticism of EA or EA Vancouver. But they do this way intentionally. You got to be able to at least win the first one or one of the first ones that pop off, to get you into the thing where you got one of the items and you get excited about the event. We'll see what other stuff besides that you get from this. So even the first one is already giving you an untradeable base pack. Second one's a mini, and then you got to get coins. You get a monthly, another mini, coins, another mini. An October collectible. you could literally, I mean, I know it's 8 in, but they're each max 2-minute periods. They're all exactly 2-minute periods. So if I've been doing this instead of talking, I could have been pretty close to getting this ready. So you could have an October monthly collectible in your collection here on September 27th, which is kind of interesting. Then the 9th is another mini pack, and the 10th is a base pack. I don't want to sound ungrateful, whatever you want to call that. Doesn't seem that great for those rewards, in my opinion. Still haven't given me my packs, huh? What's going on here? What are you guys doing? Am I off on this? It's Fridays. Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific time, yeah? That's what today is, right? Yep. Okay. I don't know what you're doing. I'm just going to look here real quick to see if I got this.
Buy something.
So apparently somebody's talking, even though it says that there's nobody in the room. Just so I don't have to hear the weird woman's voice. Okay. Name looks fake, bro. Also suggests that you're in here incognito, which is fine, but whatever. I don't have much to buy in terms of coins, so I don't know what you want me to buy. My team is also basically maxed out at this point. I will show the team because I was in the middle of putting my loaner onto the team when the new stuff supposedly came out. All right, so it's not on this. Damn it. Where the hell's the... Did I save the web page that shows it? I think I did. There it is. Oh, don't refresh. God, I hate new technology. It's so much worse than it used to be. Yeah, Friday 2 p.m. Pacific time, rewards granted. So it's Friday 2:36 p.m. Pacific time at the moment, and no rewards. I think that the event thing was still saying previous season results processing. Don't know how long they need to process. I don't know what the deal is. I finished Pro 1 this week, the same as I did last week, so that's whatever. I also noticed the rewards are different. Or I guess, no, they're just different than what I had last week. So last week I finished Pro 2. Or, yeah, Pro 2. Because I had 2 of the choicers and 3 of the premiums. Whereas this week and the first week I finished Pro 1. And I get obviously more coins, but I also get two choicers and a mega, and the mega can be good stuff at times. So I kind of want to have those rewards first, and then see where I need to kind of go from there. But they have not pushed the packs. I've clicked out to the main menu at least once already. I mean, I feel like I kind of shouldn't have to do this, but whatever. Says that the person who was using a fake name and incognito is not in the room anymore, so let's go back to my own screen. You've had 24 hours to process already. I mean, those events were locked in literally 24, almost now 25 hours ago. I understand you pushed a bunch of new content onto the game, but simple solution: don't push new content on the day where you need to also be giving people the rewards that they earned from playing during the course of the whatever. So if you did this, I don't know what the cooldown is going to be on the trade-ins, and you'd have to understand that you've got the exact same trade-in that you can do on the icon collectibles. And I think that cooldown is switched over to just once an hour, so maybe you'll have the same thing here also. But you're trading in gold players. You could do them in both sets for master set icons, or over here in the new event. Especially because it looks like you're not getting any of those collectibles from the any of the gold collectibles from the gameplay in the challenges. You'll get the one from this because you'll have 11 games to play in the daily/weekly weekday challenges. So you'll get one for free, and you'll need another 17. But let's say you needed 18, and you want to do them right this second, and there was no cooldown. Even though, again, I think the cooldown will be at least an hour or whatever. It'll be um, essentially eight. No, there's only that's true. Hold on a second. Oh, that is true. Okay, so yeah, 800 gold player items is how many you would need to trade in for 18 and get the Kovalchuk with whatever this cooldown is. And it's not just that; it's also the trade in and ability to sell those gold players, which I'm sure those prices for gold players have now gone back up. So I'd imagine that almost every gold player is going to be going for at least 1,000 coins. So every set of 50 that you do, that's effectively 50,000 coins that you are giving up in return for that. And if you compare that to buying one on the market on the few that are supposedly available for under 50,000 coins at the moment, that might seem like a decent deal. I don't know. Once you've done 18 of those, it seems like that's not necessarily the way to go. Again, particularly because you can do the exact same thing for an icon collectible, and that would give you could do, so this Kovalchuk, you could do the exact same thing and have two shots, even though you have to wait a week in between the second and the first. You'd have two shots at the 90 overall Master Set Icon Choice Pack, and you're choosing 4 out of potentially 5 cards in that set. In that set, I've already got Messier and Lafleur. Messier might have an issue as far as turning into an endgame player, but he's very solid for me right now, and Lafleur is potentially the best card in the game. So there's that, and then also in that set you've got the Patrick Waugh, which I'm very close to getting the loaner available, I guess. So I might try that out and see if I want to try to actually get him onto the team in a more permanent fashion. And the other 90s being Gordie Howe and Bellevue, sorry. So I don't know if you didn't have any 90s and you wanted them, or if you're like me and you've got the Lafleur that's tradable, or if you got any of the other ones that are tradable and you want to have untradeable ones instead for some reason, maybe just to be able to sell your tradable one, and you do the math to figure out that doing the trade-ins or however else you're going to get those collectibles to be able to do the set is technically cheaper than just straight up buying one. There's issues with thinking that way, but that's fine. And again, 18 of the icon collectibles gives you 2 shots at the 90 master icon, and I think it's like 12 instead of 9 gets you either one that you want to choose from. They're technically different sets, so you can actually do both back to back. If you rip 24 icon collectibles right this second, you can have both the Gretzky, which I have, that it's fantastic, or the Lemieux that I don't have, that I think is not anywhere near as good as people suggest it is, and for me would maybe be someone that I'd put on my fourth line on the left side with a right-handed shot. But 24 of those collectibles, you could get 291 overalls, as opposed to taking 18 that you can weigh through gold player trade-ins to get this Kovalchuk. And sure, I'm going to check his stats, I guess, just while I'm doing this, because it says he's an 80 overall. All right, so let me just click here and see if that doesn't switch from that screen. Yeah, okay, that's not what I wanted. But he's got 417 total his whole career. Why does it do that? If you're on the thing, EA, please let us do this. If you're on this thing and you're not pressing right over, don't do the flash. Just let us see what we want to see. So let's see, last year, yeah, it's not good. Plus they switch, of course, as I'm going to point this out. He had 16. So I guess if you think, please fucking stop. I guess they're saying if you assume that it's going to be like last year or slightly better, 16 does turn him into a 96. Anything better than that, every one more than that goes 97, 98, 99. So it seems like he is kind of a lock to turn into at least a 96, but that could take the entire NHL season. I'm not super hyped about that, to be honest. So I'm not sure how into that whole thing I am. Still processing, huh? What's going on here, guys? What are you doing? I don't know what the deal is. Alright, so since I said I was going to do it like an hour ago, I'll go ahead and add the loaner that I just added to the team. I don't think it wouldn't make sense putting him in for McDavid. He's going to replace Modano, but would he be better to put him in this spot instead of Roadrunner? Who's out there with Theo, who's mostly speed and lacking shots. There's a third line that sometimes gets less playing time than the fourth line does. So I think we're just going to do this. We're going to replace him directly 1-for-1 from Modano. Huh, and it already says 13 days left. Well, that's better than 0. So I was correct, in my opinion, to wait until the last second to make a choice. And to also know that during those 14 days I might have picked up the exact same player that I had as a loaner. It seems weird having made this selection, but I think that I'm not all that inclined to actually take this card onto the team unless his value drops significantly. But it'll be a nice chance to try to play and try him out. And the other ones that I had choices from, Roenick pardon me, Iserman and even the Carter Hart, I would have liked to have tried out also, and those would have potentially been tryouts that would have been more likely to lead to a purchase slash collect later on than Rantanen. But yeah, faster skate, better handles, a little bit bigger speed, right? Unfortunately, in this screen you can't see. So what I'm going to do is put Marchand, who's normally the replacement in that spot, to bring in his synergy. So from this screen, we'll be able to go back and forth between, or we won't, because I'm an idiot and Modano is a center. There's too many kind of in between the 90 and 88. Let's do, God damn it. I can't even do like no loan or tradable because I just want to get the ones that have already expired out. This Stasny, which has games remaining, and the ones that expired, Sakic and Makita off the list. And you got Sundin also. Where the hell is? What am I doing wrong here? So he's an 86 then, Modano is? I guess that makes sense. I can't really see as well with his helmet in the way, but now that I know that's an 86, I guess it looks a little different there. He is a two-way forward. Rantanen's a sniper. They share any synergy? I don't know. Well, that idea didn't really work. So that was stupid. But here's Rantanen again. So say 6'4", 211. I know Modano's got decent size. 6'3", 212. So let's pick him. It's technically an inch smaller with exactly 1 pound bigger. But 86 strength and 80 body checking. Oh, and what about balance? 87 balance. Obviously, Rantanen kills on balance at 94, and then strength at 87 and body checking 83. So probably not looking to get on the body on the defensive side as much or as often. But I'm cool with this for now and as a tryout. He's going to be filling out the fourth line there. Gives a +6 from the overall that was there before. If I didn't know, and what's Neuendijk's endurance? 84. Maybe that's part of the problem then. The third line gets off seemingly less or more frequently. I wouldn't really, I don't know. I wouldn't really want to move Pekka from the fourth line into the third line just from having the higher endurance. Partially because he's not tremendous, in other aspects. He's mostly a fast guy who can, he's scored goals, he's had assists. Not at a very high clip, but he can put it home if he needs to. It's mostly just the fact that he's got 98 endurance, 97 poise, and is quick, and has 93. I don't know what I just said, but I was going to say 93 endurance also, if I didn't say that already. So I'm not doing that intentionally to try to keep the fourth line out there more often, but now, I don't know, I kind of feel like Rantanen should be an upgrade from Modano. And honestly, if I had taken the Roenick or the Yzerman and put him in this slot over the base Ovi, probably would have been at least a supposed on paper advancement, even though, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like base Ovi is just as capable of blasting some. Okay, great. My controller is going crazy again. Definitely more than capable of blasting some shooters again this year in the base version. But that's the change to the team. I'll go ahead and show you the special teams, which hopefully it didn't change off of that too much off of that one switch. Let's see if there's anything where I can see a good spot that would make sense for me to toss Rantanen in. Yeah, so he's not great on defense. So I think we look for him on the power play. He's left-handed, so we'd have to put him in place of McDavid there. We are going defense on the four-man power play, I guess. I thought you probably saw at least one example. I'd put some offensive guys that are okay on defense. I think one example so far. I'd put an offensive person on a D spot on the special teams. He's not better than LaFleur or Gardner. That's pretty clear. So he's not better than McDavid either. But whatever. Let's get him onto the whoops. Let's get him onto this slot just so I can have him maybe out there a little bit more than simply just straight up fourth line. So those are only changes I'm going to make for now. 1T stays in effect with those 10, as does X Factor with those 6. SP got a drop. I took 2 off from taking Medano off. I could also remove Gibson for anybody else that I'd want to. I don't have much of a need to boost any other team-based stats at the moment. And then Workhorse and Wingman are both missing slightly. A +2 for either one of those would help out. In this case, Coffey and McDavid. Wrist shot accuracy, acceleration, and passing, and for LaFleur to become a 99 overall with the boosts and speed again, with speed, balance, endurance, and durability, getting a boost here also, and particularly with the endurance, but also I guess balance and durability a little bit too. I would want to have a top center who's giving you 2 points in here, and or just 2 centers that are both getting Workhorse, along with at least one other synergy, like any of the ones that we already have activated or whatever. It'll be interesting to see, especially when you get sort of end game where like the free agency cards in NHL 19 all have +2 to 5 different synergies. It'll be interesting to see if any, and it would only kind of make sense if they're position players, having even if it's just a +1 for each one of them, but having Workhorse and X Factor, because on my team that would mean that they'd have all 3 of their speed boosts. They'd be getting +2 speed from each Workhorse and X Factor. If you're unaware of that, you see that there. Also, X Factor gives agility, slap shot, and wrist shot power too. You see the +2 from the speed from each of those, and then +3 from sustained pressure that they don't have to have active because it's team based. So everyone on the team is already getting +3. It's +3 in speed, passing, puck control, and durability. And if so, any player that ever comes out from now until whenever that's good enough to play in the team generally, and has even just a +1 for X Factor and Workhorse, whether it was already activated or whether that synergy was missing 1 in order to activate it, they'd effectively be getting a full +7 bonus to their speed on that particular card. Whereas the max is anybody who has either X Factor or Workhorse is getting a +5, and that's obviously 2 more than every player in the team gets from just the sustained pressure of +3. So right now it's either 3 or 5. And if somebody had X Factor and Workhorse, that'd be +7, and that would be turning 92s into 99s, as opposed to the 92s being, 97s as they are right now. So that's the team. Feels pretty maxed out. I think that there are ones right now. There probably will be ones later that will be better right-handed shots to slot in favor of Ovi. It just happens to be my highest untradeable that didn't come from a master set icon choice set. I do feel like Rantanen is probably a little bit better than Medano was, and that Medano wasn't like a permanent fixture in there anyways. But he did come from the first attempt at that set when it was just a choice of 2. So he's there. as a potential sub in. You saw I got Marchand and others that I sometimes put into that spot. The rest of these are pretty much sort of standards for me. I'd say Fleury maybe not so much as others because his shot is not tremendous. He is max speed and mostly max skate across the board and has 98 endurance, which is crazy. It's just unfortunately that a lot of the rest of the stats are kind of just right there. I wouldn't call them meh, but there's lots of players that like only big bodied players who also play big on the body. 81 strength and 84 body checking is not exactly bad. It's just that being 5'6", 182, there's less of that body to throw around on the defensive side. And it goes with balance rating of 86, which again could be worse, particularly for a sort of first week player. I had this on September 13th. I picked this up, which was basically the first day that most people were able to get into the game. But for me, he's kind of there because he's max speed and he's not a liability on the other things. So as the game progresses, and as every base card, even going up to like this Ovi, for example, he's got X factors, so he gets that +2 on his speed to 90, and then like everyone else gets a +3 for the team, putting him at 93 and actually making him one of the slower players on my actual squad at the moment. And unfortunately, the rest of the skate stats don't really boost up with that. The 95 balance is great. It means that boosts that he does get as far as informed players or anything like informed player cards and stuff like that are just gonna go up. He only needs two +2s when he turns into a 90 overall to turn that balance into 99. So everything from 90 up to 99 for Ovi is going to have a max base balance stat of 99, which is very solid. And you just look to add another 4 onto the rest of those. Suddenly you're talking about base, acceleration, agility, endurance, and speed all at 92. In my opinion, makes it that much better. Just add 4 across the board here. You start to see what I'm talking about. Slap shot accuracy and power suddenly become 92. And wrist shot accuracy and power suddenly become 91. And again, any sort of boost you get from synergies will just add on to that. So future OVs, in my opinion, starting with the first +4, the first 90 or higher, depending upon synergies, I guess would probably be somebody that would be more inclined to be a if not an end game player, a player that like this one right now can slot him in on the fourth line and potentially into some specific special team spots, and be able to sort of hold his own. So that's the team. Feels pretty ultimate at the moment. Again, if I added Super Mario, being a winger, he's not going to have better faceoffs than any of these 4 anyways. But you see those there. I guess there maybe could be an argument to be made that he could slot in for Theo. If not, though, then certainly for Ovi. So that would be maybe one of the changes that I'd look to make. I've asked the pros that knows all this stuff the best. I think also for now EK is great. It was kind of glitch when the game first started, and definitely plays better than almost all of his stats suggest that he does. But I could see making a change there. Whereas interestingly for me at least, this special PK Subban feels like one of the better right-handed defenders that are going to be out there, and I don't foresee anytime soon having a better left-handed defender to add into any of those slots. In my opinion, it's kind of pick 'em between the Dahlin and the Coffee on the front line. And honestly, this Shea Theodore is kind of like the sneak at the moment that he sells for quite a bit of coins, so people at least know that he's got value in the marketplace. But I'm not sure if people are aware of how much value he should really have on sort of anybody's team. In my opinion, if you don't have Dahlin or Coffee, he's probably good enough to be your frontline center, because I have both of those players, and he is good enough to potentially unseat either one of them for either the second slot, depending on who's in there, or potentially the first slot as well. Comparing that to the right side, I mean, as I said, the Brisebois is basically in there on the one hand because he's got workhorse and makes it that much easier to have that turned on to make Lafleur max speed, and when it is activated, Brisebois gets maxed as well. You can see +2 brings him to 96, and the +3 that everybody on the team gets brings him up to 99. And so again, he much like a couple other players on my team, he's basically looking at great skate stats, solid poise, and just generally not a liability on the other things. And I am actually, as I said, playing him on the third line, and at least for me, he's a solid complement to Theodore. Because as you can see from the face stats there, Theodore is not slow either, but he does tend to play a bit more well-rounded across the board. And so if I'm using Patrice as the one that I select to try to get back to disrupt either a breakaway, odd-man rush, anything like that, I could do that and know that I'm going to, at a minimum, assuming that both of the third line defenders are the ones that are out there, that Theodore should be able to get back there pretty quickly as well. If he wasn't already kind of off in la la land when that breakout started, and if it's just sort of a normal play in which it's been like sort of an interception or anything that's a change of possession, if they're both in proper spots in the offensive third. Once they just immediately start to drop back, obviously they're going to have the speed to do that. And then, as I said, Theodore being a bit more well-rounded, in my opinion, is going to be a little bit better than Brisebois is as far as being able to play that defense. And he's going to be doing it over on the right side up against opponents who might be looking to have some of their more power over on the left. Hopefully you understand that their left is going to be playing on the same side as my right. So that's the team. Didn't add a goalie. Again, those are the goalies. Burke has been totally money for me, and Gibson's a nice slot in if I ever feel like doing that. I've played also with Gibson as a starter. His stats in the games where stats counted have not been fantastic, but he seems like a great card. But I am kind of leaning towards, once I get, I guess, 13 more hut challenges done, I guess pulling the loner Patrick Waugh down, since I've been told he's the best goalie in the game, and I mean he is from an overall perspective. He's tied with the 90 Carter Hart, the only 90 overall goalies. There's two 89s, with Jacques Plante and Sawchuk, but the suggestion that I've heard so far is that the Waugh is basically the best one in the game. He's super aggroed though. That's not really what I'm looking for. Neither of these players are really aggro. In fact, the reason why I have Sean Burke is because he's so low in aggression, compared to Gibson, who's a little bit higher in that category, as well as in basically all the categories across the board. So I think I might look to do that. That's what I'm thinking, is try out the lone Waugh just to see what a different goalie that didn't come with the game is. I've played with most of the higher end goalies that did come with the game, whether it's Price, Bishop, who I think is still fantastic even as just a base card, and any of his upgrades are going to be that much better even. And any of the other ones kind of across the board that people like to try out that have good, decent size. I haven't tried out somebody that I think I would probably try out in the future. Somebody like Lehner, who was a really good fit last year in 19. But his base card has very low. It's a very low overall rating, and therefore also low across the board. So if I wasn't in the situation I'm in right now with Burke and Gibson, maybe if I once I get the loaner Wah and I put Wah as in the starter, assuming I still have a copy and and don't have to go out there and spend even 1,000 coins to go out and get the base laner. If I had it, I'd maybe put him in as the backup, and especially if it's like a sort of a blowout game where I don't even really care about giving up that goal or whatever, and I'm not playing a challenge or something that requires either a shutout or some X number of goals allowed. Maybe put on the swap and bring Laner into the game and sort of see how he plays. But as far as not even end game, but just even at this moment, and then as I move forward into the beginning of October, I would definitely look for an upgraded laner to have any sort of shot of actually making the squad. So there it is. Last time I'm going to show it. Here's the team. Kind of feel like it's pretty close to done as far as cards that are out there now. Obviously, these little fantasy things that dropped off today seems decently likely that they'll be able to get boosts up, and it's interesting that might be this year's version of Evos. I don't know. I haven't paid too much attention to anything that's come off in the last hour since I've been doing this. I've been doing this for more than an hour, obviously, but in the last hour since this released, and to find out what people are talking about and if this is supposed to be this year's version of Evos. If so, I'm hoping there's going to be plenty of more cards that'll get released beyond what's available today. Outside of that, it is what it is. So that's going to be it. I will go ahead and finish this with the with that thing on the screen. I don't like that one though. Guess we'll go with that. So that's going to be it for me. Just want to check my timer here. Hour and 40 minutes, a little bit longer than it should have been, but I'd heard rumblings that there might be some solid new content today, but people have said that for the other stuff that has come out, and I'm not saying that stuff wasn't good or worth pointing out that it was going to be here, but it's not it's not the craziest thing ever. So anyways, we'll end with this. I'll leave this up for a second or two here after jumping off the mic to see if it ends up becoming the thumbnail automatically or not. And then I'll say peace out now. I'll kill the broadcast in another 60 seconds or so. So peace out. Have a good one.